Hey guys, welcome to the Getting Started episode of how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! The trading card game. Alright now, enjoy me, yeah. So we'll cue me. Intro music. So, here we are. So when it's time to duel, here's what you need to do. As long as you have a life point counter app on your phone that can do two players, you're good to go. You're good to go. See? This is my screen. So first, we're going to talk about monsters. That's what the main thing we need to talk about first. Monsters I have. So the most thing you need to learn about monsters are like this one, are level, attack points, and defense points. And later in this series, I might talk about ritual monsters, but you'll have to wait and see if I do it. So we're gonna start with each part of the phase. Each player can have their own deck of exactly 60 cards, and an extra deck up to 15. So when you're ready to duel, you shuffle your deck, and then you'll shuffle and put the top on the bottom and the bottom on the top, like that. That's called cutting the deck. That's called the deck cutting phase step. Now, and also I will talk about ritual monsters, fusion monsters, synchro monsters, Xyz monsters, pendulum monsters, and link monsters later in this series. And anyway, first this game is set up to six different phases, starting with the draw phase. But first, you must draw the top 5 cards of your deck to begin the duel. So, anyways, we're here. Each player starts with 8,000 life points. If your opponent's health is reduced to 0, or if you have a card that allows you to win, or if you run out if you win if your player runs out of cards in order to draw with, then they lose the duel instead. Now we start with the phase 1, the draw phase. But except for your very first draw phase, you draw a card from your deck. And I'll show you what else all these other things do, and I'll even talk about in this video different types of spell cards and trap cards. So when you're ready, you can either. So now I'm going to show you what you're going to do. First, you take a monster that's level 4 or below. This is called a normal summon. But let me show you what happens when you have a monster that's level 5 or 6. So if I can normal summon, I'll use another one like Funky Comedian here. He's a level 4 or below, which is 1. But the biggest hard thing is summoning monsters to doing tribute summons. So in order to normal summon, you'll have to have a monster that's either level 4 or below. So you can either summon a level 1, 2, 3, or 4 monster that's called a normal summon. While you normal summon, putting it face down, like this, is called a set. And I'll even talk about chains and chaining. would be pretty cool for my series for YouTube on Yu-Gi-Oh. But now we're getting into the difficult part. You see, I'll use Fortunately Dark and Fortunately Earth to help us out with this next part. Let me see. Oh, let me find her. Here she is. So if your monster's level is 5 or 6, you'll have to tribute one monster. You'll have to do one tribute. You'll have to tribute one monster. This is called a one-card. This is a one-card tribute summon. So if you have your level 5 like this or 6 in your deck, in your hand, you can tribute your monster to do a tribute summon for this monster. So when you tribute summon one of the monsters you want, it goes to its owner's graveyard. But this is where the next part gets difficult, and we're going to need 2 monsters on the field to do this. So let me show you what happens next. When you have a monster that's level 7 or higher, you need to tribute 2 monsters. So if you take your 2 tribute monsters and put them in your graveyard to summon it. And after all, I'll talk about these kind of monsters later. Pendulum monsters. Now, after the draw phase comes the standby phase, like I sure told you. So if you have any monsters that do stuff during the standby phase, you can do that. Look, let's use Fortunately Dark again to help us out. See, she's a little fishy if you can tribute a monster, but she has an effect that works continuously during the standby phase until she has a max of 12. Her level can level up to a max of 12. So all Fortunately can do that. And I'll even try to show you how to ritual summon later. Now watch. Now we're going to get to main phase 1 where we can summon monsters. So we summon monsters. So I should have done this before, but first we're going to normal summon a monster. So if your monster is level 4 or below, like Flufflesheep here, Flufflesheep's level 2, you can summon her in face up attack position, or set Flufflesheep in face down defense position. But you may not set a monster in face up defense position, or face up attack position. That's a big no-no. But if you have a monster that's 5 or higher, you'll need to tribute monsters. Let's use one of my monsters to help me out. Use a couple of my monsters to help me out, to help us out. Here, help us over here. Here's one. If your monster is level 5, let's put Flufflesheep back on the field in the main monster zones. These are the main monster zones. This is the field zone, graveyard, extra monster zones, except and the deck, and extra deck. So if your monster is level 5 or 6, you'll need to tribute a monster. So let's say we have Fortunately Earth in our hand, or Flucal's Cannon in our hand. We can tribute Flufflesheep for one of those 2 monsters. But there's a big problem now. Now I got something to help us out with the 2 tribute monster summons. So if you're using a monster that's level 7 or higher, you'll have to tribute 2 monsters. So we're gonna put Flufflesheep back up. And we're going to use Dragon Dozer to help us out. So when we tribute summon a monster with we tribute 2 monsters in order to summon a monster that is level 7 or higher. But then, now I'm put these monsters back in my deck and just shuffle it again and now we move on to the battle phase, of the game. here we go. So, let me just redraw a few more cards. Now watch. So now when you battle, I'm just gonna put Orphan Earth on my opponent's side of the field. Just for the hell of it. And anyway, she's level 6 and she'll have 2400. And Dragon does 1500. So if my opponent attacks my monster, and since it's 2400, and he's 1500, I take damage equal to their attack points. So if I had 2400 minus 1500 is 900 damage. I take 900 damage. But if the monster's attack points are the same, then they both die, and the monster it controls goes to its own graveyard, and they take damage equal to the difference in their attack points. But if the monster is higher than the one you have, it's destroyed, goes to its owner's graveyard, like that. Well, guys, I guess that's good. But before we go, we still have 2 more phases to talk about. Next up is main phase 2, where you can actually still summon monsters, but they have to be normal set during this phase. And you can set cards that face down like that. You see it like this. And you can activate in the next main phase 1. But you only go here if you decide to skip the battle phase. Once you do everything you want to do in all the phases, you enter the end phase. We're going to get a card out to help us out to tell us what happens during the end phase. Some cards say you'll have to do stuff during the end phase. Say, for example, Smile World. This goes to the graveyard at the end phase, and your monster's attack points return to normal. But remember, if your opponent's life points is reduced to 0, you win the duel. So that's basically the basic rules of Yu-Gi-Oh, the Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game. Check out later in the playlist for the advanced rules on the pendulum monsters, the fusion. So make sure you keep a lookout for the fusion monsters, the pendulum monsters, the synchro monsters, the Z's monsters, and of course the link monsters, and of course how to do other stuff in the advanced rules. See you soon. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye-bye. See you next time. So bye. So see you next time. Bye-bye. And have fun and let the heart of the cards guide you.